call the meeting to order. At this time, please silence any phones, tablets that you might have, so it won't be an annoyance. Can we have a roll call, please?
Brian Duke.
Here.
David Hitchcock.
Here.
William Wainwright.
Here.
Louis Varian.
Present.
Nick Krolchek.
Here.
Rating Reed. Here. Jose Alicia.
Okay. Have you all had a chance to look at last month's minutes?
Yeah, I motion to approve the minutes from the August Code Enforcement Board.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Wainwright, a second by Ms. Reed to approve it. Have a vote?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Swear in the witnesses.
You're going to testify. Can you please stand and raise your right hand? Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Okay, on page 2, 1107 West 9th Street, Mr. Gomez.
Stephen J. Kennedy presenting for Alex Gomez, who is out, City of Lakeland Code Enforcement. Case number is LCE 17-01925. Address is 1107 West 9th Street. The owner is CSBG LLC and William Hart. The violation is Ordinance 3371, Section 9.02.
138 roundabouts.
Regulations for open, unsecured, and unoccupied buildings. The date of the violation was March 16th of 2017. The city recommends a partial release to be granted for the property at 833 North Swanee Ave. The parcel number is 23-28-14-079500-013040 from the operation of this lien.
All right, further recommendations, can you state your name and your relation to the property, please?
He doesn't speak English.
Okay, can you translate for him?
His name is Yuneski.
Can you pull the microphone to yours?
His name is Yuneski Montero. He is the owner of the house.
Okay.
I don't know what to say.
So there's one release.
Yeah, so you're the owner of 833 North Swanee?
He is, yes.
Yeah, and you have plans for the property?
He's trying to sell it.
Okay. And as it is now?
Yeah, or he may fix it. I'm not sure. Tú lo vas a arreglar. En la casa lo vas a dejar como es. He might leave it as is.
Okay. I know this is not your case, but do you have any background or other case information that we can look at? As far as,
On behalf of the house?
sorry, I was talking to our code enforcement officer.
Oh, I'm
It's just
sorry.
they have more information they can,
What was the question?
if there's other case information that we need to be made aware of.
Well, the case,
Because the violation's from 2017, so.
right, the case is closed, and I believe that when the current gentleman here purchased the property, he was unaware that there was a cross-encumbering lien affiliated to this address. So that's what the reconsideration was that we received.
Okay. So plans to sell, is it under contract now? Is it just a desire to list the property?
It has a contract.
It is under contract. Is that what you have today in your hand? No.
No, he doesn't.
Okay.
At the moment, no.
Okay.
So it's closed, he just hasn't paid yet?
It's not his fine, so he bought the property without doing your beloved title search and,
Correct.
Yeah.
yeah,
He's
so.
trying to sell it. He's trying to come out of that. They never told him about anything on behalf of the house before purchasing it.
And when did you make the purchase?
The question is, this is done.
It's not for the violation, it's just for the partial release.
2020, I think. I
Okay.
believe he bought it. 2020.
Pardon, ma'am, I didn't understand you.
2020.
2020.
Renee with the City of Lakeland Code Enforcement. What this is he is trying to close on 833 North Swanee, and CSBG is attaching my
Previous
name.
owner, yeah.
So this 1107 West 9th Street is tying him up, and he's not able to close on the Swanee. So they're asking for us to do a partial release so he can do the transaction for
Yeah.
Swanee.
Yeah. And it is under contract, I guess, is what I'm trying to.
Yeah, I've been speaking with the
verify. Okay.
title company, and they're just needing this in order to move forward with the transaction.
Okay.
So he has nothing to do with this.
I move that we accept the staff's recommendation.
I'll second. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just checking, I was not paid.
Yeah.
You made a motion to?
Ms. Reed.
Yes.
Okay. Have a motion by Ms. Reed to accept staff recommendation, and a second by Mr. Wainwright? Yeah. Any other questions? Can we have a vote, please?
Yes.
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 Thank you so much.
Motion was
Absolutely.
approved.
Is there more?
He has another case, a third case down.
So we have one more.
Okay, same page, okay. 1107, another one, 1107 West 9th Street on page 2. Go ahead with that.
No, you can just hang out. It'll be the same thing. He's going to read
One
it.
house, though.
Yeah, it's the same address, though. That's,
okay, I
yeah,
get it.
connected
I'm
to your
sorry.
property. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Stephen J. Kennedy, presenting for Alex Gomez, Code Enforcement, City of Lakeland. The case number is LCE 19-06873. The address is 1107 West 9th Street. The owner is CSBG LLC. The violation is ordinance 5425, section 4.12.2, visibility of intersections, intersecting driveways. The date of the violation was September 13th, 2019. The city recommends a partial release be granted for the property at 833 North Swanee Avenue, parcel number 23-28-14-079-500-013040 from the operation of this lien.
Thank you. You've heard the staff recommendation. Do you have can you state your name and your relationship to the property, please?
Unesky Montero, owner to the house now.
Okay. And you've heard the explanation. Do you have anything to say for that?
He's unaware of that as well.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, yeah, we'll just assume it's the same for both.
Yeah.
I move that we accept the staff's recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Reed, a second, Mr. Krolchek. Any questions? Can we vote, please?
Yes.
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 All right, the motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good to go. Good luck.
Okay. Next one is on page 5, 1222 Martin L. King Jr. Avenue. Mr. Gomez, or
Stephen J. Kennedy, presenting for Alex Gomez, City of Lakeland Code Enforcement. The case number is LCE 22-08408. The address is 1222 Martin L. King Jr. Avenue. The owner is Estella Louise Cooper Phillips. The violation is ordinance 5425, section 4.4.1, fence material. The date of the violation was December 21st of 2022. There was an order given on July 13th of 2023. The affidavit of noncompliance was filed on September 13th, 2023. The city recommends a 50 per day fine be imposed effective September 13th, 2023, and run until compliance is met.
It's August 13th.
Excuse me, August 13th.
okay, can you state your name and your relation to the property, please?
Estella Phillips, and I'm the owner of the property.
And you've heard the staff recommendation. What would you like to say?
I've been dealing with this for a year and 8 months. My property been vandalized 8 times. The last time was May the 2nd. This is all documented at the Lakeland Police Department. They tore down doors, pulled up. All of that was pulled out from the wall. Walls was tore down, doors, windows, and trash. Where you see them, I had to find a way for them to keep dumping trash on the property, all between the properties. And I had to find a way to keep them from dumping trash on the property. Every Sunday, I was putting trash, collecting trash during COVID for the trash man on Monday for a year and 8 months. So I had to find a way to keep them from dumping trash. This is why so now I have started putting chain link fence. It's already on the property on the front from not there, it's over at 1226. It's already up, the chain link, and I'm working on the back to put up chain link fence. I'm working on that right now. I just need this thing. This has just been
So you put what's here up to try to keep people from
throwing the trash.
trash, right?
And had to find a way, because every week for a year and 8 months, I've been nasty trash pile this high sometime. Every Sunday, I was out getting trash, putting it out on Monday morning for the trash. So this is what we came up with to keep them from dumping trash.
Is it a vacant house?
No, yes, all three is 1222, 1224, and 1226.
So they've been vacant for over a year and a half.
It's just been horrific. I've been picking up trash. Everything I put there, they came and pulled it down, busted all the windows, doors. May 2nd is the last time they come. I have wrought iron gated doors. They cut them, cut the frame.
How much, so how much do you like on the fence then to finish it?
Well, I did this, and so they're supposed to come back and started putting all around. I've started at 1226. It's there.
So here's what I'm,
Mr. Kennedy, what is it says it's for fence material.
that's not proper fence material. Yeah.
And that's the issue?
Yes, sir.
Hog fence.
So the options,
Hog wire.
yeah, so the options potentially are if you could take it down,
Yes.
that would stop. And I know you don't want to have to deal with the trash, but not having it there would stop the fine.
Yes.
You could, so even if you temporarily have more trash, as you finish the chain link fence, this would stop. If you take the material down, you wouldn't have to deal with the fine anymore. It would stop as soon as you have another code enforcement officer come out.
Well, I just didn't know anything. We had to find a way to keep them from dumping trash because the code enforcement was giving me problems about moving the trash. So you have to find a way to keep them, as I can't stand there. The police can't find who, and they got information that somebody was paying them to empty trash and tear my doors up, tear all the windows up. They went through walls.
Have these properties been condemned?
No,
No.
this is the 4th generation. I was born in those houses. That's been in my family for 4 generations. Those houses are 100
But if
years
the
old.
windows are broken, the doors are broken.
Yes. I've replaced all of them.
There is an active housing case for this property, if
For this
that's
property.
your question.
How many times has she been before us on this fencing material? Because she's been coming for a year and a half, so when did the material just start? The material just started,
The case was open
22?
December
Right.
20.
so she's had 6 months to fix the fence?
And it went before the hearing officer in August
Okay.
of this year.
Yeah.
I empathize with you, ma'am, but I move that we accept the staff's recommendation.
So I'm inclined to agree with that. I just want to make sure that you understand that you can stop the fines from rolling on this particular violation by removing what's there. So as soon as you can have it done, so there will be fines from August 13th on, but you do have the ability to, or if you have the ability to take that down, you still have to deal with some trash, but you would stop the fine for this case. Does that make sense? Because it's the
So
material.
when you say fines, what do you mean?
So that material that's there is not proper fencing material, which is what has started this fine. So there's a fine rolling for the fence that is there. I understand that you're between a rock and a hard place because you're getting fined for trash probably, and you're getting fined for the fence material. But the fine for this case is there because, is in place now because of the
Fencing?
fencing material.
We have a motion. And we have a motion by Ms. Reed. Do we have a second?
I just want to make sure she understands.
No, we do.
I really don't understand.
Yeah,
I still don't understand.
Listen.
Yeah, I'll second the motion.
Okay. So we have a motion by Ms. Reed, a second by Mr. Kolchak. Now, any questions? Anything else?
Does that make sense what I'm explaining anyway?
I really don't understand.
If you take the fencing material down that you have up there
Yes,
Put
ma'am.
it in the chain link like you're doing.
Yes,
and notify the code enforcement officer
yes, sir.
when it's done, do it immediately, then
Okay.
the fines will stop. Until then, the fine will continue.
Yeah. Even if there's no fence there, you won't be fined for the fence that's here, this part of the fence.
This part is for fencing material. Just take that fencing material down and notify that gentleman.
Yeah. The chain link, keep doing, and that's fine.
Okay,
But this is the stuff that is causing your property to be in violation.
okay.
Does
Please.
that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Now, have a vote?
Yes.
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 The motion passes. All right.
So as soon as you get that taken care of, reach back out to Mr. Gomez or Mr. Kennedy, and they can stop the fine, and then we can address the fine total on the back end.
Okay, and the fine is from when?
From August 13th,
And how much would that be?
$50 a day.
$50 a day?
Yes, ma'am. But again, once that's resolved, the case is closed and you've complied, you can come back and we can talk about the fine total. But, so moving faster is in your best interest. And then letting them know as soon as you get it done.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Bottom of page 8, 127 West Hancock Street, Mr. Brownlow. That's it.
Joey Brownlow, Code Enforcement Officer for the City of Lakeland. Case number LCE 23-02400. Address is 127 West Hancock Street. Owners Michael Barrickman and Catherine Eskin. Violation is ordinance 3947, Chapter 3, Section 307.4, care of premises, overgrowth, open storage, and junk. Date of violation is 5/31 of 2023. The order was 8/10 of 2023. Affidavit of noncompliance was on 9/11 of 2023. And photos taken on September 19th show that the violation still exists. At this time, the city recommends a fine of $30 per day, effective September 10th of 2023, and run until compliance is met.
Okay. Can you state your name and your relation to the property, please?
I am Michael Barrickman, and I co-own the property with my wife, Catherine Eskin.
Okay. Do you have a response to what you just heard and what's been proposed?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
I would like to present information to convince you that this is not a brush pile, but a work of art, and that as such, it can be considered ornament and would be dismissed. And with the looks of stunned amazement that I see, perhaps I should say more. Go for it. Pictures that Mr. Brownlow got capture the street view, and I'm impressed with how clear it is, because the pictures I have from the street don't show it as clearly. This is from inside my yard, and in the background, you see another sculpture I made some 20 years ago and my house. So this is a undeveloped property. We've been at this location for 20 years, and this sculpture began about 10 years ago, just as some branches on the ground that separated a play area from a rest area. Then there was Hurricane Irma, and that provided a lot of available material. That's one of my themes in making art, a lot of branches. These branches are all individually placed, not piled, not thrown up. They're not loose. They're driven in by hand at first into the ground and then into each other. So it created over years this kind of woven stability.
How many years has this been going on?
2017 was Hurricane Irma. I first started it in 2010. I understand that Mr. Brownlow is new to the neighborhood, and he ticked off a lot of things and got a lot of stuff that nobody else was worried about. My neighbors have never complained. When I have guests over, they're interested in this work.
That was my next question. This was not a resident or neighbor complaint. This was...
I don't think so. I think it was officer.
Okay.
I think I just noticed it driving by.
Have you shared your work of art with your neighbors? Have they requested you to do this to their yard too?
That would be an interesting relationship to have. And in the Dixieland neighborhood, there's not so much interest in conceptual process art, and there's not so much disposable income to pay for such thing to be constructed. Recently, my wife and I hosted a graduation party for my son in our yard, and we had friends from all over Lakeland join us. And this provided a definition of space so that people who didn't want to be involved in the water balloon exchange that happened at 6:30, they could be over in a dry space. So it functions as this divider, but it's also, I want to say that it echoes the branches of the live oak tree up above in the sinuous swelling form, and it is made of those branches and a couple other trees that I have in the yard. I'd like to share another image.
Sure. Real quick, before we change that one, just a question. Is that the same one that he took a picture of, or is that that's a different one? That's
Different angle of the same one.
Okay, different angle of the same one. Thank you.
Most of Mr. Brownlow's images are from the curb.
Most of them are from the
outside the car,
from my vehicle.
though?
Okay.
But outside the car.
No, in the car.
From inside truck, right? A little higher.
So, Code Enforcement Manager Sonny Marshall, our interpretation of debris or anything that is not thriving, dead, decaying, or have the potential to deteriorate, we wouldn't have, by looking at this photo, anything to differentiate between a brush pile and then dead vegetation or dying vegetation from a debris pile.
Right. I appreciate you bringing up that point. Can I speak to that?
Yes.
Awesome. So part of the conceptual drive for this kind of work, this particular work, is to simplify some other processes in life. I'd like to name that the code that we're working with that can't distinguish between an accumulation of branches and this sculpture was adopted in 1997, something like that. And this is long before I was aware of permaculture and the idea of growing with a consciousness of the entire environment, to close loop on recycling. And in this case, I'm avoiding expenditure of fossil fuels to collect trash, to haul to a dump, to spend more money on more fossil fuels to bring mulch into my yard to supplement the soil. We live in a sandy environment. It doesn't really support life without additions. So instead of removing all the branches from the environment, I'm adding them to the soil. This takes time. If this pile didn't decompose over time, it would probably be 10, 12 feet tall. But when I just put branches on it a few weeks ago, it was maybe 5 feet tall, and today it's 4 feet tall, and it will continue to compress. There's another image of it earlier in the summer. This is in a more fully decomposed state. And so this is what I want to talk to you about, how this is different from sculpture you might be familiar with. This is not meant to look the same all the time, to be shiny and bright and fixed in place. To bring up an example, there's a sculpture on Lake Mirror. Paley, I think, is the artist. Big, tall, painted metal sculpture. But even that, over time, faded and needed to be repainted. This is meant to change over time, to have green phases, brown, and decomposed face. It's not meant to be removed. And this is what I'm hoping for today, that we can come to some kind of solution so that it can stay in place. And I'd like to say a little bit more about the place, but there might be more questions?
Sonny, I have a question for you. Just when we think of a compost pile, what's the city ordinance around that?
And that is what I was also thinking, is this something that is meant to become compost?
I think it's good to make a distinction between compost and the decomposition of wood.
And it would have to be contained.
Right. And I read that rule, and I do contain my kitchen scraps compost, which is vegetable material that is still attractive to pests, animals, even, squirrels, rats, mice. There, I said it. But this is wood. It's not food source except for wood-destroying organisms, and it is more than 30 feet from my house and more than 25 feet from my neighbor's house. So if it were to attract something like termites, which are generally more interested in large wood, I could deal with that too.
Another picture, I was trying to move this. You have another picture you want to show us?
I handed you the one in the decomposition phase.
The art photo.
Is that it? Okay. Any other?
The only other is like the art photo.
Did that not go up?
Not yet.
Can you show some of the that's just a, oh. Okay. And can you show the picture that you took so we see what it looks like?
So did I make that distinction between food scraps, compost, and wood that's decomposing? It's not going to attract pests that are searching for food. The only danger is that it might attract creatures that are searching for habitat.
May I make a comment? I've recently just purchased a sculpture and put it in a piece of property that I own. And I had to contact code violations, code enforcement, to make sure it was not a violation of the county. And I would have thought before you decided to do something like this, you would have contacted code enforcement. Because personally, I have wood on some of my property because I farm, and it does attract all sorts of creatures. And I would not want to be living next to this because of the animals that it will attract.
I appreciate you sharing your personal experience.
Yes.
And what I'm hearing in that is that you act to get permission first, rather than forgiveness after.
Because if they would have said no, I wouldn't have been able to put my sculpture up on my property.
Right, and so then what would you do? You already had bought it. So then what?
No, I hadn't already bought it.
Oh, even before you
Before I
bought
asked.
it?
Anybody? Somebody else?
I move that we accept the staff's recommendation.
Is there a time limit on this? Because it feels like there's more to be said about this.
Okay, say it.
Oh.
Okay.
And I can also read the definition of vegetation declared a nuisance per the code 86-2. The existence of excessive accumulation or untended growth of weeds, undergrowth, or other dead or living plant life, or stagnant water, rubbish, garbage, refuse, debris, and trash, including but not limited to. And there's a series of other objects, but in that very first statement, it says dead or living plant life. And so, according to the explanation given to us, this is plant life that is dead or dying and could progressively decay further. And
Yes.
I guess that's what your plan is.
Yes.
That would actually be a violation according to vegetation growth declared a nuisance. So that's
Awesome.
why this was cited.
So thanks for sharing that. I understand that by the words, it's obvious, but within that is that this accumulation of trash and household items and decaying wood is an unintentional accumulation that no one's cared for. And what we're really trying to solve with a code that's written like that is to police people's behavior when it is not aligned with what we want in terms of maintaining an aesthetic within the city. And what I'd like to say is that I am there doing this intentionally, caring for it and maintaining it, watching out for those things that might be attracted to it over time. And I don't see how that is a code violation.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Reed. We have a second.
Second.
Have a second by Mr. Duke. Now, any other questions that you have?
Only if is there another context where this would be, like this particular space is what makes it a violation, right? That it's in your yard within the city limits, for how we're thinking about it right now, right?
I think, yeah, that's pretty close. The way I'd say it is it's being seen as a violation by choice. This board, Mr. Brownlow's perspective. Work like this is cited at Storm King, a sculpture park in New York State. There's a man who works with Willow that has work all over North Carolina that is cited in public places. There's another male artist named Mel Chin who does environmental work also, a famous piece about lead removal from the soil using plants, which he found didn't work. Those are just a few off the top of my head. My invitation to you is to consider that Lakeland can encourage this kind of work by allowing it, and that it could grow to be better known by my neighbors and the larger community.
There's another, the dragon thing in Dixieland, you know what I'm talking about?
Made of metal.
Is
yeah, near the bakery.
is that private or public? It's private as well?
It's a private lot, yeah.
By the pizza place.
And so I'm assuming they had to do similar permitting and whatever to have the,
That's totally different than
yeah. Well, unless we take it at face value and say that this is, and we consider it art, I guess I'm just trying to differentiate between what would be private and so then subject to this code, or what would be commissioned in a public space and so then open to be interpreted as you are interpreting it, as opposed to how it is being interpreted through city ordinance and the code, which is our purview for this board, you know? So even if we decided that, you know, like I might view it more as art and an installation, as it sits before us on private property with this code in mind, it's just harder for us to work around that for all the reasons that have already been, I think, listed and said in the description, you know.
Anybody else, any other questions?
About the materials, it's obvious.
Right.
By the citing that is on private property, it's more subject to that code than if it were.
Well, everything that we cite is on private property.
Right.
It's not on city or public property.
That's what I'm saying. So I think.
So anything that would be considered a violation of the city ordinance enforced by my division would be on private property.
Yeah, so I think that's
Brings up a question. There's a commercial element where a artwork becomes a commissioned art on private property. that we're not doing on this part. This is more like me working in my studio, creating something to then share with possible commissioning source. Here, look, this is a proof of concept. We can make it bigger or smaller.
Which I think would be under less scrutiny in a different venue, I guess is my, I understand the importance of it being in the space that it's in, as you've laid out. I think the venue makes it harder to establish it as even a piece seeking to be commissioned for interests from the community. Even though I understand the context gives it meaning, I get that.
Right, so what I'm missing is what the impact is that we're trying to avoid by ruling against it to have it removed. What harm is it?
Well,
You can see how it
Our
meets these criteria.
interpretation is based specifically on the way the code is written. The interpretation and your concept of art is something that you have the right, to perceive it as art. But our stance in code is we are specific to the way the code is written.
So if I adopt that, then I can't use branches to make art.
Not in this context, but in a different venue, potentially yes. On property that is under the, code jurisdiction, it's going to be a hard sell, as I think you're seeing.
Basically, if he did this out of the city limits, he could do whatever the county code says. Whatever the county code says, if you did it out of the county, would be their interpretation of what you're doing. In the city, the code violation is there.
And so we could agree with you today, everybody rule against imposing a fine, but there's a good chance that at some point down the road, it would be seen as, it would be classified, categorized the same way that it's been today. It would come before the board again with different people. I think it's, like I said, I appreciate your efforts and what you are conveying in your work, but I think that the context makes it hard to not see it as anything that's not in violation of a code. But again, our purview is to evaluate based on the code.
Right.
Because of all the reasons that Ms. Marshall, has said.
Okay, anybody else?
I'm confused. It seems like there's a limited reading of the code in order to get to a determination of in violation.
Excuse me, I have a question. If we decide to go with the staff's recommendation, what does he need to do to continue his issue?
Thank you. I'm curious.
He would just need to, for compliance, he would need to remove the brush pile from the property.
Any dead or decaying plant life. If it's thriving and alive, then that's fine. But once the plant life is dead and dying, it may further decay or promote other nuisances to occur on the property in the sense of insects, bugs, animals, and a myriad of things. But as long as it's alive and thriving plant life, it's fine.
Okay.
That brings up a question for me. Ms. Marshall, the difference between blanket composting and a brush pile would be what?
If you're composting, it needs to be contained. If it's something that you're using, it needs to be completely mulched out to where it can go into the ground as soil.
Okay, so redefining the terms. Blanket composting would be layering of compostable material to prevent weed growth. And you see this as wood chips trucked in and layered at 3, 5, 7 inches to get a real good thickness over the
Anything
dirt.
that is 12 inches or more would be considered overgrowth. So, and
12
if he
inches or
needs
more.
further explanation, I think that if you all do have a motion in a second, if you would like to vote, if you need more information from the respondent or us, we'd be more than happy, but we can give him further guidance on compliance depending on how you all vote.
Which, All right, we have anything else, Ms. Berrien?
This is a fun.
Motion and a second.
We have a motion.
You ready to vote?
Yeah, the motion was by Ms. Reed, the second one, Mr. Kolchak. We have a vote?
I don't know who seconded.
I seconded.
Second by Mr. Duke, sorry. It's been so long. A vote?
Yes.
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 No.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes.
Thank you for your time and the extra time. It was an opportunity to connect and share my perspective, and I appreciate the public forum for that.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
And good luck with the permaculture on the yard.
Okay. Okay, that's all I have. All right, that's our last public.
Coming.
Anybody coming up? Are we done?
There are some that have to be read in.
Good afternoon. Daniel Povey, page 2 at the bottom. I'll just start spouting off.
Okay,
All right, Daniel Povey, Code Enforcement Officer for the City of Lakeland, case number LCE 20-01133. Address is 820 North Vermont. The owners are Lucia and Fernando Arriguia for ordinance of 3947, Chapter 3, care of premises, open storage and junk. The date of the violation was 2/11/2020. And at this time, we are recommending to extend the payment deadline to September 26, 2024.
okay, you heard staff recommendation. Do we have a motion?
A motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Motion by Mr. Wainwright,
Second.
second by Mr. Duke. Have a vote?
Yes.
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 Who seconded that?
Mr. Duke.
Thank you.
All right. Next.
Top of page 10.
Okay, go ahead.
Angela Kaiser, Code Enforcement Officer for the City of Lakeland, case number LCE 23-02748, address is 2274 Griffin Road, owners TNC Center LTD, with violations of Section 86-5 for depositing in designated places only. This case came into compliance yesterday's date, and we're asking to dismiss the case with no fines.
All right, you've heard staff recommendation. Do we have a motion?
A motion to accept staff recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Wainwright, second by Mr. Kolchak. Have a vote?
Yes.
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 Motion passes. Thank you. Ms. Kaiser.
Stephen J. Kennedy, Code Enforcement for the City of Lakeland. I'm sorry, page 7.
7.
The case number is LCE 23-01140. The address is 224 Tucker Street. The owner is the estate of S.E. May Joyner. This property came into compliance yesterday, so the city recommends that this case be dismissed with no fines.
All right, we've heard staff recommendation. Do we have a motion?
A motion to accept staff recommendation.
Motion by Mr. Wainwright,
Yes.
second by Ms. Berrien. Do we have a vote?
Yes.
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 Page 6, the bottom 2 cases. Darren Kroll, Code Enforcement Officer for the City of Lakeland. This is case LCE 23-00935. The address is 1036 Forest Park Street. The owner of the property is Lakeland Christian School. The violation was ordinance 3947, Chapter 3, Section 307.4, care of premises, open storage, and junk. The date of the violation was March 3rd of 2023. This property came into compliance on September 21st, and the city at this time recommends that the case be dismissed with no fines.
All right, thank you. Heard the staff recommendation. Do we have a motion?
A motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Motion by Mr. Wainwright,
Second.
second by Mr. Kolchak. Have a vote?
Yes.
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 All right.
The next case is just beneath it on page 6. This is case Darren Kroll, Code Enforcement Officer for the City of Lakeland. This is case LCE 23-00936. The address is 1036 Forest Park Street. The owner of the property is Lakeland Christian School. The violation was ordinance 5425, section 5.17.3.3, construction and storage trailers permitted and regulated. The date of the violation was March 3rd of 2023. The property came into compliance on September 21st of 2023, and at this time, the city recommends that the case be dismissed with no fines.
All right, thank you. Heard staff recommendation. Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept staff recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Wainwright, a second by Mr. Kolchak. Vote?
Yes.
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 All right, thank you. You don't get twice.
Joey Brownlow, Code Enforcement Officer for the City of Lakeland.
What page?
I'm sorry, this is going to be on page 11 at the top. Just jump right in.
All right.
All right. Joey Brownlow, Code Enforcement Officer for the City of Lakeland. Case number LCE 23-03060. Address is 509 West Belmar Street. Owner Jennifer Smith. Violation ordinance 3947, Chapter 3. At this time, the city is going to recommend to dismiss this case. Affidavit of compliance dismissed with no fine.
Okay, thank you. We've heard staff recommendation. Have a motion?
Motion to accept the staff recommendation.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Wainwright and a second by Mr. Kolchak. Do you have a vote?
Yes.
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 Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Going. All right. Reconsiderations. The motion so ordered for the cases on pages 2 and 3 in which the respondents did not appear is to deny reconsideration unless summary disposition was signed as stated in the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Wainwright, a second by Ms. Berrien. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, sign. All right. Cases continued. The motion so ordered for the cases on pages 5 through 12 in which the respondents did not appear and are not in compliance is that the fines be imposed unless summary disposition was signed as stated in the agenda.
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Wainwright.
Second.
Second by Ms. Berrien. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Dismissed with a fine. The motion so ordered for the cases on pages 13 through 15 in which the respondents did not appear is to dismiss with fines unless summary disposition was signed as listed in the agenda.
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Wainwright.
Second.
Second by Ms. Berrien. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Dismissed with no fine. The motion so ordered for the cases on pages 16 through 23 that are now in compliance is to dismiss with no fine.
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Wainwright.
Second.
Second by Ms. Berrien. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Adopt summary disposition. The motion so ordered for all remaining cases that have not been yet heard today is that all signed summary dispositions be adopted with items as stated in the agenda.
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Wainwright,
Second.
second by Ms. Berry, and all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Anything else?
Before we adjourn, Alex, would you mind explaining the absentee about responding if they're going to be absent?
To ensure we have.
If the board members, what the
Requirements are,
procedures?
what the requirements are if they're not going to attend.
One second, let me pull it up. So what was the specific question on this in terms of getting attendance and making sure that if there's an excused absence, is that kind of what
Right,
you're getting
so, yes, if there's 2 to 3 consecutive absences without the approval of the chair, what does that approval look like, and what process do they need in order to get that approval? And then also, because of the established policy, anyone who has not attended, which we do have a member that has not attended, I will declare that, that seat vacant, and we'll be sending a letter. But since we have everyone else here, I wanted to discuss what it's going to look like as far as, we're all happy for Ms. Berrien, she's running, but we wanted to also discuss, does that mean that we need to open up another vacancy?
She does not. I think that's the easy one. In terms of state law, and I can pull that up right now, there's a statute on individuals restrictions on individuals qualifying for public office, and that is Florida Statute 99.012. And in that, it's subsection 7, it says, this section does not apply to persons serving without salary as members of an appointive board or authority, which would be this particular board. And so the resign to run law does not apply in this situation.
Awesome.
And that's for permission to be absent?
So when you send me, when I send the email out to you and ask you if you're going to attend the hearing, that actually needs to also be sent to David Hitchcock.
With approval.
Okay, say that again.
And then he has to respond affirmatively
So
with
I send the email out a week before the hearings to ask who all is going to be attending the hearing. If you let me know that you're not going to be attending the hearing, they also need to let you know that they're not attending, because you have to approve for them not to be here.
Does everybody have my email address?
Should be on the.
It should be on the email I sent out.
Shane. Okay, and it's identified. I'm hitting, was David something, I think, depending which one I use.
It's on the email I sent out.
Right.
And he has to approve every absence, and if he doesn't, we can have 2 unexcused or unapproved absences, is that what you said?
The failure of a member to attend 2 of 3 consecutive meetings without cause and the prior approval of the chair.
Okay.
Right.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Any questions?
No, thank you for making that clear.
All I have.
Thank you.
We are.
Great month.